The executive order focuses on a new economic idea known as the tariff dividend. It connects the money collected through import tariffs directly to a potential payout for a small group of qualifying Americans. The concept is simple in theory, but extremely limited in practice. And the reason you see headlines saying very few qualify is because qualification rules are expected to be strict, narrow, and highly targeted. The $2,000 figure seen online is not a guaranteed payment for everyone. It comes from economic estimates that project how much a small group might receive if tariff revenue is distributed as a dividend-style benefit. This is not a stimulus program, not a relief package for all citizens, and not a universal payment system like Social Security or the CARES Act. This is a targeted financial model based on tariff revenue. To understand how this works, it helps to understand what a tariff is. A tariff is a tax placed on imported goods. When the United States applies tariffs to products coming from countries like China, the cost of those products increases when they enter the U.S. market. The extra money collected through tariffs goes to the United States Treasury. That money is not printed. It is collected from importers of foreign goods. The idea behind a tariff dividend is that instead of the government keeping all of this revenue inside budgets and spending plans, a portion of it could be returned to a specific group of Americans who are directly impacted by global trade. That could include workers who lost opportunities due to overseas manufacturing, small business owners affected by import competition, and certain low and middle-income families. The model is designed to be narrow, not broad. That is why the phrase "very few qualify" appears again and again. Tariff revenue is limited, and if the money is divided among every American, the payout would be extremely small. To make the payout meaningful, policymakers would limit qualification to a small group. This leads to an important point about the $2,000 number. It is not a number confirmed in government documents or guaranteed by the Treasury. It is a projected estimate. If tariff revenue is high enough, and if the qualification group is small enough, a larger check could be possible for those who qualify. But that scenario requires several conditions to happen at the same time. The executive order itself does not include a fixed dollar amount. It does not promise a universal check. It creates a framework that allows tariff revenue to be used for targeted financial support. This is a policy direction, not a payment announcement. To understand eligibility, imagine that tariff revenue is a pool of money. If it is divided among everyone, it becomes pennies per person. If it is divided among a small group, the payout becomes larger. To achieve a larger payout, policymakers would tighten eligibility rules. They would look at income limits, industry impact, location, employment history, and ties to sectors affected by international trade. This means most Americans would not qualify. High-income households would not qualify. People with no connection to impacted industries would not qualify. People outside targeted income ranges would not qualify. That is the design of the model. The use of the word dividend is symbolic. In the stock market, dividends are paid to shareholders from company profits. In this policy, the dividend refers to public revenue collected from tariffs, redistributed to certain citizens. You are not a shareholder in a company. This would be a government-controlled distribution model, similar in structure to a tax rebate or targeted credit. If implemented, the distribution could take several forms. It could arrive as a tax credit on federal returns. It could arrive as a direct deposit through IRS payment systems. It could be issued as a check for qualifying households. It could be applied as a tax rebate at filing time. The mechanism depends on Treasury decisions and funding availability. When channels say, "dividend checks now coming," they are referring to the policy idea, not to an active payment program currently sending money to all Americans. There is no universal check. The executive order does not contain a line confirming a $2,000 payment to every citizen. It contains authorization to explore targeted financial support using tariff income. This type of policy is controversial. Supporters argue that if tariffs raise consumer prices, returning some revenue to households helps balance the impact. They say the policy could support American workers who face competition from imported goods, and encourage domestic production. They see it as a way to recycle tariff revenue back into American pockets. Critics argue that tariffs increase prices for all consumers. Even if a small group receives $2,000, millions of other Americans could pay more for imported goods. In that model, some benefit while others feel the cost. This is why economists debate whether the tariff dividend idea is efficient or fair. The phrase, "very few qualify," is accurate for another reason. Tariff revenue is not unlimited. In a universal payment model, the required budget would be massive. To avoid this, the system must be narrow. Only people who meet strict criteria would receive checks. That is the only way the payout reaches higher values. To illustrate this, imagine two scenarios. In the first scenario, 10 million people qualify. The payout might be $100 each. In the second scenario, only 200,000 people qualify, and the payout could reach $2,000 each. Same revenue, different distribution logic. There is also a timing factor. Even if the executive order moves forward, the implementation process may take months or more. Data must be compiled, eligibility must be defined, and logistics must be created. Checks do not appear overnight. So what should people realistically expect? The realistic expectation is that there is no current nationwide $2,000 check. There is no automatic payment for every citizen. There is no confirmed amount. Instead, the executive order sets a direction. Use tariff revenue to support specific groups under certain economic conditions. The online discussion created attention because people remember previous stimulus checks. The idea of receiving a $2,000 payment is attractive. The phrase, "very few qualify," creates curiosity. People click to see if they are included, but the majority of citizens will not be included. Understanding the structure helps avoid confusion. This is not a stimulus act. It is not like the CARES payments. It is not a Social Security benefit. It is a policy model that may become a program for a small group, and the $2,000 number is a scenario used for explanation. The core truth can be summarized simply. The executive order allows tariff revenue to be used for targeted support. Eligibility would be limited. Payment amounts are not confirmed. $2,000 is an estimate based on a narrow qualification group, and that is why very few qualify.